Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, viewers. Today we'll be talking about the internal politics, economy, our diplomacy, and naturally, we will also, ask a few questions about the internal security and the regional situation that is persisting at the moment. Once again, I have a very prominent politician, a guest, former federal minister, Mr. Khurram Dastagir Khan, a very senior leader of the Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz, the party which is in power at center as well as in Punjab. Thank you very much, Khurram Saab, for your precious time.
Thank you, Waheed Saab. I'm grateful that you invited me.
Sir, please kindly tell me first about what is going on between your party and your ally, the PPP, because we have seen in the last few weeks there were very harsh statements coming, emanating from the senior leadership from Punjab Chief Minister Mariam Saiba and then Bilawal Saab. So there is we have seen certain footage and some kind of engagement with the President Zardari by the senior leadership of PMLN, including the foreign minister, the deputy prime minister. So where your party and the PPP stands at the moment?
We stand together because we have been uh, now together in the second government. We were together in the PDM government for 16 months, and now we are together again for one purpose: to continue Pakistan's constitutional arrangement that we have, number one. Number two, and by continuing this, bring economic and political stability to the country. And of course, then the next step is to take country forward in terms of economic growth and job creation. But we remain two parties that contest elections against each other. So we are rivals, but not enemies. So occasionally, in different, if you in Western music, there is a term called divertimento, which Urdu translation would be halki pulki mausiki. So occasionally things will come out, which is in fact tells you that the parties are not blindly in alliance, that they have differences. And this time, differences was over how to deliver relief to those affected by floods. What would be the most efficient way? People's Party thought the income support program would be the best way. The Punjab government felt otherwise, and they said that they could make their own arrangements. But then, of course, it just snowballed from there and became a sort of war of words. But apparently, the visit to the president by PMLN senior delegation yesterday has smoothed the ruffled feathers, and we agree to continue again, not as uh, one party, but as two parties which are rivals but are together for a purpose, a national purpose.
Why PPP, thinks that they are being marginalized or isolated in the decision making, especially in Punjab?
No, it's actually the electorate and the voters of Punjab that have isolated and marginalized them. So they have scarce representation, but just because they are in alliance with us in the federation, where of course they have a very healthy representation, which comes mostly from Sindh. So they feel that since they were allied in the center, they should have a larger weight in Punjab. And in Punjab's context, and essentially any provincial government context, it usually means some kind of understanding on postings and transfers, on development funds, which CM Mariam Nawaz has been willing to provide, has been willing to occasionally accommodate. But of course, uh, politics is it's not a event, it's a process like diplomacy, which goes on every day, every single day. New challenges arise. So therefore, differences would continue to be raised. And in fact, the strange thing is, in which I am actually uh, concerned with my party, that PMLN and Sindh should in fact be raising the same complaints. That because we are together in federation, then PMLN in Sindh, which of course has again a marginal representation, but given the fact that we are together in the center, should have more weight in how Sindh is governed, when in fact it has very little to say about how Sindh is governed. So it's actually a quid pro quo that has to operate because we are together in the center. So PMLN should be adjusting or accommodating People's Party in Punjab, and People's Party should be accommodating PMLN in Sindh.
Is there any threat to the federal government since they are a coalition partner at the center?
It's very hazardous to make guesses about the future. But as of today, the majority of this alliance
I don't want
is,
to interrupt you. In fact, but actually, in the history, historically speaking, we have seen the coalition governments, breaking down, coming down, and creating a political chaos in the country. That's why I put this question to you.
yeah, it's a fact. Pakistan uh, hasn't had a very pleasant experience with coalition governments, which you saw, I think, the latest, which I witnessed myself back in 2011 when MQM left People's Party government. And then People's Party had to find a new allies in PMLQ for the rest of its term for 2 years. So yes, it goes on, but it was able to. We have seen not only allies but prime ministers actually being ousted, both during the tenure of Pakistan People's Party and again in tenure of PMLN when Mia Nawaz Sharif was very unjustly disqualified from office back in 2017. But the government persisted to the end of term, which is in fact a good thing. I think we should, the fact that this constitutional arrangement holds despite these disruptions, bodes well for the country. We might not feel that the country is in a very great shape economically, but we have achieved very precious economic and political stability, and which means that the biggest challenge that we face are two. First, of course, is the terrorism that we see arising in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, and the second challenge is to how to uh, push and revive the economy, which begins to attract not only foreign but domestic investment, and as a consequence of that, begins to create new and better quality jobs for our young men and women across the country.
Oh, okay. Naturally, political stability is, basic. It's a foundation for any economic and financial stability. Uh, Kindly tell me, and then I'll be moving, to the federal. Do you think that the floods, which has hit badly the Punjab, it's going to have an impact on the overall country's economy as well as on the economy of the Punjab in the coming future?
I can give you my own personal assessment as an observer of these things for a long time. Is that although the floods affected millions of Pakistanis, first in KP, then Punjab, but less so in Sindh. And this time, I think CM Mariam Nawaz needs to be applauded for the fact that nearly 3 million citizens were rescued, and therefore the loss of life was minimized. And just because they were rescued, there, of course, are serious issues of whole villages being washed away, crops being washed away. But my personal assessment, again, there are other assessments out there which can disagree, is actually quite optimistic that the overall uh, losses of the flood uh, will be turn out to be not as bad as everyone expects them to be. And therefore, their effect on the economy, although at this moment it is there, but will begin to fade by the beginning of next year, 2026. So I'm quite
So it's
optimistic.
not
And
it's not going to affect our food basket. In fact, naturally, the wheat
yeah, it's
crop,
it's it's
especially.
about yeah, it's I think the floods receded in time. Therefore, the winter wheat will be sown on time in many areas, and the very swift rehabilitation process will allow many of our farmers which have been worst affected, to sow their crops again. And therefore, I expect the damage to be there. It will be substantive, but it will not be catastrophic like it was in 2022.
Now, kindly tell me about the IMF. The IMF team was here from 24 September to 8th of October. This, I mean, couple of maybe yesterday they have concluded and then went back. That was a technical level, the staff level, in fact, talks between Pakistan and the IMF. They held in Karachi and Islamabad. What's your expectations? And again, the finance ministry has forwarded, a request that these floods, they must be, kept in mind by the IMF when they are going to have a review. So, do you think that the program that we are going through of a $7 billion one for 37 months and then 1.1 billion another resilience facility, so, do you think that this program is going to be a smooth one, and the IMF is going to accept whatever the reports or the details which Pakistani finance ministry is going to forward them?
Once again, Vahid, I'm optimistic. I think we are so used to bad news that we start to uh, bang the drums about everything is going to be destroyed and it's going to be terrible. When in fact, I think the stability that we have achieved, and I think the reason for my optimism is that Pakistan's uh, external account is stable. So the kind of uh, uncertainty we used to have regarding the how the dollar is going to plummet, how there are going to be massive outflows. I think Pakistan has been able to. I think Shawaz Sharif and his finance team need to be again appreciated for the fact that they have brought stability to Pakistan's external account. And now that the external account is stable, we just heard the news this morning that there have been record remittances by our overseas Pakistanis in September. So therefore, I am optimistic that these issues will be resolved. And I think Pakistan has surprised everyone, including our political allies, by not going to the world to ask for aid regarding floods. I think it is a very positive step that Pakistan has relied on its own resources to provide rescue and relief and rehabilitation. Although we will be going to the world in a different context, which is to tap the international green funds to increase our resilience against climate change, and also to mitigate the effect of floods. So that will be actually a very large project of many hundreds of billions of rupees. I mean, of some few $1 billion. To ensure that beginning from the north of the country to the south of the country, we will have certain diversions and certain reservoirs where we could divert flood waters whenever they arise. It's already been sort of forecast that next year there's going to be even more rain, 30% more rain. So floods are quite likely. So, but Pakistan, in the IMF context, I think Pakistan has shown uh, ability to manage its external account. Pakistan has shown the ability to manage its expenditures. Uh, and therefore, I'm quite optimistic that despite certain hiccups regarding the relief that Pakistan wants to provide on electricity bills and other issues, I think it will be resolved positively.
What about the inflation? Because we have seen in, I mean, this month and even in the last month, a lot of the food items prices they went up, and then there are certain mismanagement on the side of like sugar issue. Then in certain cases we see the wheat issues. So do you think that these need to be addressed at the level of concerned ministries, so that the people should not take they're not burdened and the government is not being criticized?
Yes, in that's where I think the floods have hit us. In terms of in August and September, there is a supply worry that when the floods hit, although if you look at the numbers, the number of both the stocks of wheat and stocks of other crops are quite satisfactory. There is no, I mean, if you look at the numbers, there's no shortage in the country. But of course, there's always speculation and market manipulation that happens. So that's what happened in August and September, and we have the numbers of sort of the inflation genie trying to come out of the bottle. So again, Pakistan, the Shawaz Sharif's government has this challenge um, of managing it in a way that dampens market expectations of shortage. Um, this is a difficult challenge, but we were able to manage it back in 2013 to 18, in which the price of sugar was in fact a rupee less in 2018 than it was in 2013. So if certain measures are taken, and again, these measures are administrative and these measures are designed to dampen market expectations of shortage. So if this is done, and it can be done, there are we made it happen back in 2013 to 18. I think we will be able to control the very short spurt of inflation that we have seen because of the floods.
When we can get out of IMF?
Well, that's the larger question. I think that's where um, Shawaz Sharif, as Prime Minister, who has done a remarkable job in terms of diplomacy and in terms of very hard work in managing the minutiae of governance at the federal level. Now the minds have to open up of not just doing the daily firefighting, but to have a vision. Because getting out from IMF clutches will require um, a rethinking and liberalization of Pakistan's state and how it regulates the economy. A liberalization has to take place, privatization has to take place. And this, I think we are now in
When
a
when privatization? When?
well,
Sorry,
let me
sorry to
finish and then
interrupt.
I'll tell you.
Right. Okay.
We are sort of in this trust trap in which the government of Pakistan deems every taxpayer to be a thief, and every taxpayer deems government of Pakistan to be corrupt. And that's where the situation is. And
It's
so
a,
we
it's a
need to,
perception. It's a
yeah, it's a
perception
person,
question. Yeah.
and we need to break that cycle. And one of the things that could be done, and that's what I have advised the Honorable Prime Minister also and his team, that this year you need to do one substantive privatization transaction. So that's the answer to your when. It has to happen in the next 6 months in order to first demonstrate to Pakistanis and to the world that the government of Pakistan is capable and willing to privatize its assets in order to send out a signal. And actually, the first transaction will be the signal that government of Pakistan is going forward. But it's not just privatization. I think in many areas, the age-old NOC restrictions have to go. The red tape has to go. And it's not just federal government. The provincial governments are equal partners in this liberalization that I'm talking about, in which the new investors are given the confidence that they can invest with a new wave of energy and confidence, and to ensure them that they will be able to reap their dividends when they are done with the investment.
Since you are talking about the dividends, the prime minister, as you were referring to, has been on a international forums where like SCO and other forums. Recently, he was in New York attending the UN General Assembly sessions, holding talks on the sidelines, and then he held bilateral visits to various countries. Talking to the Russians, Chinese. Naturally, they are very close to us. CPEC and other projects that are going on. Then with Americans, but then again, people ask that, and recently, Prime Minister was in Malaysia, signed certain MOUs and agreements. The people question that when the um, direct finance investment will come to Pakistan, and the people will get the benefit.
And this is a question that is in everyone's mind. I think what we expect in the short term, in the next short term means within this fiscal year until June 2026, are some investments from the Saudis and from the Americans in the mineral sector. Um, the rest is still, I think, work in progress, and that's why this we just what we talked about. The signal has to go out that the government is not just firefighting, that it has now it is thinking ahead. Alhamdulillah, stability has been achieved, political and economic, and therefore the government is more confident in now pursuing the growth agenda, which will require liberalization, privatization, and of course, sort of getting rid of that red tape. So I think in the short term, we are expecting American and Saudi investments. The Chinese are very, very important. And I think we should always keep them in the loop. Uh, Currently, they have the largest investments in Pakistan in terms of infrastructure, in dams, in construction, in energy. As so, we have to give them comfort also. I think so. I expect that Prime Minister's visit to Beijing for their anniversary celebrations was crucial in that respect. He was able to meet the Russian president also. And Russia is also willing to put up certain investments. So, what we circle back down to, and I think maybe your viewers will take this away from this interview, is to the Prime Minister's larger challenge to raise the capacity of the state of Pakistan, include the federal government and the provincial governments, to think economically and how to ensure that people who have shown interest in Pakistan, who want to invest in Pakistan, I mean, it's not just the Saudis and the Americans and the Chinese. There are many. I mean, there are many countries which are interested in Pakistan's, gem sector. There are many countries that are interested in Pakistan's other very important sectors in terms of textiles. But the mindset, uh, and let me just clarify, the bureaucratic red tape, we really have to let it go. It's obsolete in the 21st century. And if we really want growth in this country, growth means jobs for our young men and women across the country, would mean some rethinking of how the state regulates the economy. So it's
So
not
we
just
need
a
a we need a transformation and innovation. In fact,
yeah, we need it.
in
We
all the
need
sectors.
to liberalize even where we think that some people might abuse that facility, but we need to liberalize in order to ensure that not just foreign countries wake up, but the real challenge is to make Pakistanis invest in Pakistan again.
And that requires trust. How we are going to
That
restore
requires
the
that's why I mentioned that this distrust ditch that we are
because
currently
we have
into,
seen
we
overseas
need to climb
Pakistanis,
out of it.
they are divided, politically. Just We have seen even in our neighbors, I mean, the countries which are in our neighbors, when they're abroad, they think like a country. They think like a united nation. But in fact, unfortunately, our political parties, they have their organizations, outside Pakistan, and they take decision on the political basis, political ideologies, political thinking, and there the problem, in fact, they come in the way of investment and economic stability and all that.
Well, that's an issue, but whenever it becomes feasible, you will find that there will be investment, domestic and foreign. I think I'll just give you an example of back
Great.
at the beginning with the end of 2016, when Pakistan showed to the world that it could tackle the terrorism challenge, which we did through Zarbias. There was this investment spurt in the country, external and internal, which of course was destroyed by Nawaz Sharif's disqualification, that confidence period of nearly a year or so. But we need to demonstrate that again. Once things become feasible economically, uh, there are people who are always making that calculation of where to invest next. And that's why, although maybe the people of Pakistan are yet to see the benefits, look at where Pakistan Stock Exchange has gone. Someone is making that calculation that Pakistan is feasible, Pakistan's industry is feasible. And that's why there's this massive investment, which really has surprised all of us that, at the beginning of when this government began, where the stock exchange was and where it has gone now. So there is investment if there are returns available. So that's why I say that now that Shawaz Sharif and his team, and with help, of course, from Pakistan's armed forces, has achieved success in stabilizing the country, uh, it is time to rethink anew about how we are going to regulate the country. And there is only one sort of black cloud on this, which I hope will be a priority of the Prime Minister as he just returned from Malaysia, is to decisively tackle the terrorism in Balochistan and KP.
So how you see, because when we started this show, we said that political stability is very much important for the economic growth and stability. Similarly, security is very important, because when somebody is going to invest in a country, they see that what kind of a security is being provided to the people, and what kind of situation is going on. But unfortunately, our enemies are trying to prevent and hamper the investment into Pakistan, both in Balochistan and rest of the country. And the recent events that are taking place in KP and Balochistan, they are alarming, and Pakistani security forces are taking care of it. How you see that, how much the political leadership of the provinces has the responsibility along with the security forces?
Well, that's the second larger challenge that Shehbaz Sharif has as Prime Minister, is to, the first was, I think, as I said, was to think again regarding how the Pakistani state regulates the economy and begin to deregulate and liberalize and privatize. Similarly, the Prime Minister's leadership and Field Marshal Asim Muni's leadership will be crucial in clarifying the challenge that we face in Balochistan as well as KP. I mean, the KP is actually the more troubling example, because the terrorists there no longer have that excuse of fighting some kind of Islamic jihad or some jihad against the United States. There are no drone attacks anymore. So we see terrorism in its pure form of using violence to achieve political gains. And therefore, that this fact has to be hammered into the public consciousness, that these are no longer our bichde hue bhai or naraz bhai. These are people who are bent upon murdering Pakistani citizens and Pakistan's armed forces. We saw this very terrible incident yesterday in Orakzai agency. Is that These people are bent upon killing us. These people are bent upon using weapons. And therefore, if there are people within those groups who want to lay down their arms, and it has to be a precondition, there could be some discussion. But unless that happens, we have to act kinetically in that regard. Similar for Balochistan is that if those Fitnatul Hindustan people are bent upon using weapons to kill innocent Pakistanis like they did in Jafar Express, it's something that we need to clarify and enunciate clearly in Parliament. I think it's something that Prime Minister has this challenge of now it is time. I would venture my personal opinion is to make a serious speech in Parliament and challenge and ask all political parties to join the government in getting Pakistan rid of these terrorist elements who no longer have any other excuse except to hurt and murder Pakistanis.
That is a main challenge at the moment, because in KP there is a kind, the new government is going to be formed, and as the news are coming that the opposition is also trying, because 93 MPAs of KP, they have been declared as independent, and 52 are with the opposition. So there, naturally, the opposition would be trying to have their own chief minister. So do you think that the political leadership has to take the lead in KP, to talking to the people regarding the security?
But it's a KP is very interesting because, as I said, they no longer have an excuse of some religious jihad. They no longer have an excuse of anti-Americanism. And the government in KP no longer has any excuse of saying कि ये हमारे नाराज भाई हैं. Yeah, that these people are fighting for their rights, because according to the opposition's claim, the KP government is legitimate. So there is a legitimate government according to their claim, or I don't accept that claim, but they say that we are legitimate. So now that they have, unlike Balochistan, that they have this legitimate representation from the province, then why are these terrorists there? What are they seeking? And therefore, this appeasement
But we have
attitude.
been, sorry to cut you, Khurram Saab. We have been hearing and listening dividing opinion of the government, of the PTI leadership, as well as the the KP government. Naturally, this Ali Amin Gandapur has resigned, but when he was the chief minister, or still naturally he is the chief minister, so there was a division within the party that was creating a kind of
So
a
this is
confusion
actually,
confusion for the public, in fact,
yeah.
in the
So
form of
we
Fata
have
district.
to, Vaitsa, we have to be rid of this confusion because although it's the current insurgency is limited to areas uh, next to the Pak-Afghan border, um, if we don't deal with it like we did the last time, or delay dealing with it because of these correct, you have pointed out correctly, these confusions in public mind, then this fire will travel to Pakistan's larger cities and hurt us economically as well as politically. So that's why all the more important. I don't know what's going to happen actually in KP Assembly. A lot of calculation is going on in different areas. But whoever becomes the chief minister, it is abundantly clear that this has to the fight against terrorism is the most important challenge, because what we have seen is that KP has, unfortunately, and again I'm here going to make a political statement because I'm also a member of a political party. KP has simply become a staging ground, and all its resources are being abused to stage assaults on the federal government. The KP government has, in the last year and a half or a year and 7 months, has simply used all its resources to attack the federation, when in fact these resources are the right of my brothers and sisters, nearly 45 million who live in and live their lives in KP. Is that the resources of the province are for their education, for their law and order, for their health, for their infrastructure, for improving their lives, when nothing of that is taking place. So, two things have to take place. First, this clarity on terrorism that we have to fight it. And second, that the resources of KP government are not for assault upon the federation, but they are for the development of the people, my brothers and sisters who live there.
Final question regarding yourself. Are you going to be part of the upper house or the federal government? As we have been, reading in the media and some kind of a news were coming out.
Vaitsa, because since you haven't made my recommendation, I don't think I have a good chance at that. आपने
You
सिफारिश ही
have
नहीं
been
की तो फिर क्या?
No, you have been naturally, you are one of those senior members of PMLN who study books, who had a research wherever you have been placed by the former governments. So I have 100% support for people like you to come and
So very kind of you. So very kind.
lead this country, especially the economy. Thank you very much, Khurram Saab, for your precious
Thank you.
time and your enlightened, a discourse on economy and the other challenges that the Pakistan is facing at the moment. Thank you very much.